I think the funny thing about calendars is they show you what's important, regardless of what they look like. If you've got only birthdays in your calendar, that's the one thing you want to protect because you don't want to forget your friend's birthday or your grandma's birthday. If you got appointments, you want to protect that time because you know you about to get charged a $50 no-show fee. But all of the other goals that we're missing was like, sure, I had them. Sure, I wanted to achieve them. But was I protecting that space? No. Everything else, everything that matters, all of the things that you build your identity on, if they don't live in your calendar, not only are they able to be displaced by something urgent because life happens, but they are able to be forgotten about. They're able to be pushed to the side for weeks or months if you're like me. If it's not in there now, oh my God. If I lose that piece of paper that said I had to do the thing, it's as good as forgotten. Well, it is forgotten. It's not, I didn't need that. I didn't need that saying. And what you do with your time is what you actually prioritize. It's not what you say you prioritize. It's not what you write in your journals. It's not what you dream about at night. It's facts. Like, it's what you actually care about and what you actually prioritize in your life. I think that's where the gap is for people, is like, you have a lot of goals, but where do they live? Where's the one consolidated place that you could look to at any point and say, oh, that's what I'm doing today. That's what I'm focusing on because it ties back to what I journaled about last night. It ties back to the goals I set in Q1, ties back to the identity I built. It's in your calendar. I almost feel like this episode is going to be either really boring for some people or really like, okay, you know what? Let me tap the fuck in. It's one of the two. It's a calendar episode. So sit tight and we're going to deep dive and we're going to talk about it because you need it, okay? I also don't want you to think I'm judging or anything. I'm 28. This is not the first time I've tried to live out of my calendar, okay? I have tried multiple things. I have to rework it and reiterate. And if you don't keep up with it, you lose it. And your calendar's back to being empty and you're back to being like, what was I supposed to do today? What was that big goal that I had that I'm not working towards because I haven't actually set aside time to plan my week, to put the time in and respect that time? So today we're going to close that gap and we're going to use a method that forces you to see exactly where your time is going. We're going to be talking about the 168 method. Now, a little bit about it. The 168-hour method was introduced by author and productivity expert Laura Vanderkam in her book 168 Hours. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And the concept is really simple. You have 168 hours in a week. Fun fact. I didn't really know this before either, but you do. That's a Tim's cup, y'all. And everyone has the same amount, meaning, yes, you and Beyonce both have 168 hours in a week. How cool is that? Or scary or daunting or depressing? Honestly, when you get a team, like, you really can make mountains move. But if you're like me for now and you're in your solopreneur or just making things work on your own, you got to be extra efficient with that time. And where most people focus on a day and planning out a day, Laura talks about not thinking in days, but thinking in weeks. And if I'm honest with you guys, I have literally just this past week learned about this method and have been implementing it this week. So this is fresh for me and you. If you're watching this, like, upon posting, we're learning this together and we can try this out together. Because instead of thinking in days where, most of the day is gone, you really don't know what to do with all that energy, when you have a week, you have a pretty big playground of possibilities. Like, you can see how much time is available, how much time is blocked. This is what I'm finding is, like, when I'm looking at my life week by week, there's actually so much time. Anyways, I'm going to put a screenshot up here from my time tracking from this past week because I've been experimenting with it. And when you actually start tracking your time and seeing things in the weekly snapshot, you notice that there's still a lot more time for you to do the things you need to do, for you to do the things you want to do even. Until you account for all 168 hours, you don't actually know how much time you have or don't have. Also, quick shout out, I first learned about this method through Well by Cami. She's been a great mentor for me. She's like a productivity queen. I don't know if she has a YouTube, but definitely follow her on Instagram. I'm obsessed with her. And I'm in her V2 cohort, so I'm gonna be learning so much about productivity, methods that I could try, and I'm gonna be sharing those within my community. So if you are a part of the BFY Collective and not inside the community space yet, definitely join it. I'm planning to do contests in there, workshops, live workshops where I can teach you these skills and provide you with tools outside of even just what's available in my newsletter. It's gonna be exciting. I'm very, very excited. As of recording this now, I have my first 2 members join. So Leovi and Janice, love you girls. house. I'm excited to meet this week and just get to know each other and figure out what our goals are and set those plans and work on, honestly, this exercise together, because I think it is so fun and I can't wait to like do a guided exercise around it. And if you're watching this on Sunday, Monday, our meeting is on Thursday. So if you join the community by then, you'll be on that call and we can plan and work out how you're gonna build your 168-hour week and how much time you actually have. Anyways, shout out to Cami for putting me on. When I did the rough calculation, meaning I hadn't tested it out yet, I had about 25 free hours in my week. From 168 hours to have 25 hours available for you to work with, it's one full day that you get to spread out within a week to get things done. For me, 25 hours seems like a good amount. I almost didn't believe it, which is why I started tracking and time tracking my week to see how long it takes, because I think everyone should do it this way, where you estimate and then you go ahead and actually track your week to see how much more or less time you actually have in real life. You don't realize how much mundane tasks, work take up your week. For me to get up out of my bed, shower, brush my teeth, do my morning routine, I'm thinking 45 minutes. No, girl, it's more like an hour and a half. When you're thinking about the time you need to rest in between your tasks, that ends up looking like a lot more. You might think you take 20 minutes, but you actually take the time of a whole movie because you're exhausted. Like, it's actually really cool to flesh out in real time and see where your estimate was and where you actually track out. And that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be accounting for all 168 hours of your week. Now, before I get into the actual method, I also wanna introduce a distinction that is very important when thinking about the 168-hour method, when planning your schedule or trying to be productive in general, regardless of this method. Because I think when people hear like you have a priority problem, they immediately jump to, okay, I need to manage my time better. But more important than time, like more important than having all of the time in the world, is having the energy. And there's actually three things at play here when we think about it. There's time, there's attention, and then there's your energy. Time is your container. So you have 168 hours a week. We know this now. Fun fact. Can't wait to tell other people, honestly. That part is equal. It's fixed. There's nothing to be done about it. We all have the same time container. It's 168 hours. Cool. Attention is what you give that time to. And attention is cool because it's not just about what you're physically doing. You could be sitting at your desk doing work, responding to emails, but low-key having anxiety about the fact that you haven't filed your taxes yet. Matter of fact, you haven't filed your T2 incorporated taxes in 3 years, and all of your attention is going to that thought. Yes, I'm talking about myself. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it this week, honestly. This week, I'm gonna do it before my due date for filing taxes. In that case, my time is going to the work that I'm doing, but my attention is going somewhere else completely. It's going to the CR. Sorry, let me calm down. They just get me so tight. I'm trying to have a different energetic relationship with them, but it's like, you guys actually get me so tight. I cannot. Like, they just love to chase me down. They just love to run me down. I paid my taxes, mind you. I just haven't filed them. So I know when I file these taxes and you guys gotta send me money back, expect the same energy. I'm gonna be running you guys down. I'm gonna be sending you letters every day. I'm gonna be sending you emails. I'm gonna be calling your office. Where's the money? You know, people don't pay their blah, 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 blah. Let me calm down. This is why I do this outside. This is why I film in nature, because I need to ground myself, especially when I think about the CR motherfucking A. Anyways, you can see that it still has my attention right now. Sorry about that. Let's get back to this. Now, energy is the quality that you bring to both. Oh my God, and energy is the most important, because think of it. An hour when you're at your peak is not the same as an hour when you're at the end of a long work day, just fed the kids, just fed your cat, just took a shower, your neck is kind of hurting now because you've been looking at your screen all day, your eyes are dry. Those are the same 60 minutes, but it is not the same amount of energy that you put into those 60 minutes. They're completely different. And most people manage their time. You know, we try to count our hours. We try to be productive with what we set aside, but nobody really manages their energy, myself included. That's something I really have only in the past year started to, I would say, place at the forefront of what I'm doing. When I think about what I want to get done and I'm working with my calendar, I'm working with my energy first and prioritizing around that. The top half of my calendar, AKA the morning hours, are so much more productive for me than the bottom half. Honestly, after 11 a.m. And because nobody protects their energy, you can have a full ass calendar, time blocked through and through, and still find that you don't get the things done that you want to get done, and certainly don't get them done in the time that you allotted. Now you feel like a failure because you allotted 4 hours for this task, but you allotted it on a Friday evening, which is when, if you work a 9 to 5, generally we tend to have our least amount of energy. Do you know what I did on Friday? I ordered a large pizza with pepperoni, creamy garlic sauce drizzled on it, 20 chicken wings, and a tub of Baskin Robbins. That's all I have the energy for on a Friday night. I don't know about you. Movie night with my cat, that's it. I would never willingly at least, schedule something for myself on a Friday evening, on a Friday afternoon. Anything after Friday 12 p.m. Really? So if everything is accounted for in terms of hours, but your attention is still scattered and your energy is not being considered when you're implementing that schedule, you're just kind of back to ground zero and probably really frustrated because you're doing all the right things, but it's still not feeling like it's working. Now, the 168-hour method fixes this, or at least helps this. I don't know. I'm only 1 week in. I'll let you guys know the more I spend time with it and the more I do it. Because when you see where all of your time is going, you're not just asking like, do I have time? You're also asking, am I giving my best hours to the right things? When you realize that your fucking screen time works out to be 20 hours per week, is that the best use of your energy? Is that where you want to allot 20 hours of your precious energy and attention to? You start to think about things, even the gym, let's say, even good things, even good habits. When you start to see what the totals are of the time that you allot to certain things, you can start to think about if that's really where you want to put your energy. It's hard enough for me to get to the gym. I certainly don't want to spend more than 45 minutes in that hoe. The sun's coming out. So here's what the method actually looks like in practice. And before I get into it, welcome to the Best Fucking Year series, where we take your vision and turn it into reality through intentional action. And like every other episode of the BFY series, I of course have a worksheet that you can use to help you with this method, to help you put in perspective where your time is going, ask you the kind of questions that's going to help you hopefully free up time if you find that you don't have as much as you'd like. I also think this will be the first worksheet that introduces a tool, one that I use, and it's completely free for a month. I'm on a month free trial, so I think that's a perfect amount of time to use it as an experiment, to test something out like the 168-hour method, track your time, and start seeing if the changes that you're making are impacting you and how they're impacting you. If you'd like the free worksheet, I'm gonna pop it up here. And the way to get it is by signing up to the Best Fucking Year newsletter. It's completely free. Now, what I will say is when you sign up to the newsletter, if you're watching this right now, you're on episode 8. The way the newsletter works is you get one worksheet per week, starting at the identity building phase and working your way up into phase 2, which is where we're at now, which is about building that container for your identity to live in. I highly recommend you doing it in that order and taking the time, because there is no rush, okay? There really isn't. I feel like a lot of creators that are selling transformation, let's say, are always doing it in a time crunch. Like me and my friend Sal were talking about this the other day. The girls with the fat asses and the 6-pack abs, and they say like, look, I went from this to this in 8 weeks. It doesn't account for the years they spent building the muscle that would allow them to be able to make a cut like that in 8 weeks. So I want you guys to hopefully start shifting your mind and understanding that nothing worthwhile is built in 24 hours. Nothing worthwhile is done just in the snap of a finger, 2-week transformation. And that while it may take time, the time is going to pass anyways. You deserve to give yourself that time to sit with each of the exercises, to work through them, and to allow for that slow, gradual change that is the most impactful. That being said, if you know you are someone who can take the time with the worksheets and allow the space for you to actually work through it, I do have all of the worksheets ready and available within my Best Fucking Year community. That is a paid community, so you absolutely do not need to join. There's something for everyone. If you'd like all of the stuff for free, it is free. The community is just another level where we connect even further. We get to know each other. We get to share our goals and work towards our goals. There's accountability. There's going to be contests and prizes. I'm going to work through exercises with you guys. I'm going to be doing like live workshops to teach you guys the skills that I'm learning in my mentorship as well. So there's a lot more value that comes from there outside of just getting all the worksheets at once. Everything is linked in my Stand store, and I'll put that in my description. Let's get into the actual method. Step 1 is that you account for the non-negotiables. So that is sleep. If you know you need about 8 hours of sleep a night, you account for that. Work, if you work at full time, 9 to 5, that's usually 37 and a half hours per week, you account for that. All of that basic life admin is accounted for. That's the base, because that has to happen regardless of whether you have goals or you're just a bum laying on the beach like me. No, I'm joking, I'm not a bum. I'm not a bum. Come on. So you account for the non-negotiables. Most people, that adds up to somewhere between 100 and 120 hours. Yeah, for me, it worked out to about 100 hours. And if you're the same, between 100 and 120 hours, that means that right off the bat, you actually only have somewhere between 48 to 60-ish hours left in your week to use. But that's not it, because we're gonna subtract some more. Now, step 2 is really an audit, because you're gonna account for where your discretionary time goes. So this is all of the things that are mandatory. We need to sleep. You might not need to go to the club every Friday night, you know? That's discretionary. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna look at last week. We don't gotta like figure out the whole year that you lived. Just look at the week before you're watching this today and start to account for where all of that discretionary time went. So this is the things you said yes to: the scrolling on the phone, the going out to eat, the watching a movie, the hitting the gym, all of the things you allotted your time to that took up the rest of the days in your calendar, even if it was just sitting and doing nothing. Like maybe you just wanted to like calm down for a sec. A lot for that. And from that point, you can head to step 4, which is actually assessing if that's what you wanted your week to look like. Did working towards your goal only end up getting 1 hour of attention on a Thursday evening when you were really tired? Especially in the worksheet, the next step is where you get a little bit uncomfortable because you compare what your last week looked like to where you actually said you wanted your time to go, to the activities and the intentions that you set in phase 1 when you built your identity. When we go to chapter 2, when we think about chapter 2 and you building a babe, does last week look like the kind of week your babe would have built? Does last week look like the kind of week that she would have lived? To be living the life that she is, to be having the confidence she has, to be having the mindset she has? Does last week match that? And if there's a gap, if it's like, no, that's not giving, my babe, Keeks is my babe, Keeks would never spend that much time watching TV. Keeks would never spend that much time taking naps. That's a big one for me. I never used to be a napper and now I love a nap. When I did my base calculation, my real free hours looked to be about 19 to 25 hours per week. The reason I had a range is because I realized there was other things that I spent time on that I couldn't calculate, like my depression, my PMS. Like there's certain times, depending on what cycle I'm in or what phase of my cycle I'm in, that I'm not even sure. When I'm manic, I'm so much more productive. And when I am depressed, yeah, there's a lot more time spent sleeping. There's a lot more time spent doing really just low energy things because I don't have the energy. And if you are a woman watching this and you're a woman who menstruates, who has a cycle, I'm pretty sure we all have a cycle, but please don't quote me. I'm not trying to exclude anybody here. If you're anyone who has hormones, how about that? You know that weeks can look different because of where you are in your cycle, because of what phase you are there. So while we're doing a quick snapshot, I actually do recommend using the tool that I'm gonna link in the description. I think it's called Toggle, because it gives you a free trial for a month. And that's just enough time for you to get a full snapshot of your whole picture, which I think will be really helpful, especially for me, because I definitely have different phases. And I'd love to see what 168 hours looks like to me who's going through depression versus me who's maybe a little bit manic versus me who's in a good plateau. I'd love to, just for science, see what that looks like. Now, my top projects this week were my short form content. I ended up spending 8 hours and 31 minutes on that, which is so much more than I thought I would need. I'm actually shocked at how long it takes me to create a carousel. It takes me over an hour to create one post, which is a carousel post. I also volunteer. I spent an hour on that. About an hour went to networking. So just meeting with other creators, talking about our ideas. That is time that I need to start tracking because I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, that all counts. That's all time that, like, if I'm networking, I'm filling my cup most definitely, but I'm not working on something else. And am I doing all of these things in a balanced way? Education, an hour and 40 minutes, and my BFY worksheets. So to create the worksheets for you guys, so far, I spent an hour and 15 minutes. There's another thing. It takes me a couple hours to build these worksheets. So I'm gonna start getting a better picture at how much time it takes me to do all of the things that I'm doing. And I think that's gonna be really helpful for me because I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I always feel like, oh, I could be doing more. But I think I'm gonna learn after this that no, you're doing a lot. The things that you're doing, not only are they many things, because I'm trying to give to the community, I'm also trying to work on things for the future. I'm trying to build my BFY Collective space and come up with the workshops that I want to lead for you guys. But yeah, it takes time. And understanding that for me is gonna be nice. That's gonna like rewire the frequency to stop feeling like, oh, you're wasting time. No, you're not wasting time. It just takes time to build something that you're proud of and that you like and that is gonna help people, which I know it is helping people because the feedback you guys give me has been so amazing. I've been really late to get back to my emails this time around, so I apologize. I usually get to at least once a week. I'm also gonna track how long it takes me to get back to everyone's emails because that's something that I enjoy doing. Like, I love that you guys take the time to send the emails, so you're definitely gonna get a reply from me. I would love to know how much time that takes. If you're someone like me who enjoys seeing like hard facts, there's no better way to get hard facts than by actually sitting down and tracking your time. And at the end of a week, at the end of 7 days, sitting down and being like, oh fuck, Yeah, I did do that for a long time. That took me longer than I expected. Oh, and also another thing that did surprise me is that rest did start to feel like rest. In that area, my attention kind of was focused on myself, which was nice. Yeah, I don't really have much to add for that other than it was nice. It was nice to rest and not be worrying about, oh, you didn't do enough of this. No, I did. And I have it on the calendar to show. Like, I know because I track the time, and I know that I sat down for almost 2 hours today editing this video, working on a brand deal, working on some of my worksheet. Like, I can see that my efforts are there. It's been really good, just I think all in all so far for my self-talk. I have been so much kinder to myself this week. When it comes to tracking my own time in my brain, I feel like, oh, you probably only worked on that for like 30 minutes. Oh, this, yeah, it usually takes me about an hour. Bitch, it takes you 2 hours. Oh my God. Oh my God. So yeah, that whole concept is like, has been really helpful for me to feel more accomplished and also have a more realistic understanding that like, no, I'm not this superhuman that does everything in 30 minutes like I think I'm doing and then feeling bad about because I only spent 30 minutes on a thing. It's actually taken me 2 hours and I'm proud of the output, but I need to start considering that because I need time to do the things that I want to do and to have them be in a place that I feel proud of putting out there. That's been a really good realization for me, and that's what I hope you start to feel this week. And again, if you want to do this in a group setting, please join the BFY Collective because that's what I'm going to do this Thursday. I'm going to lead a call, do a little bit of introductions. We'll talk about this project and we'll do it together. I hope to see you there. Here's a shift that I want you to make when you're working out this week. If you guys have done last episode, episode 7, I'll point up here so that you know. Watch that video first. We talk about the buckets that you want to put your time in, and hopefully what you're going to do this week is you're going to put the buckets for your deep work, your admin, your rest and recovery, and your community time. And then within there, you're going to schedule your actual priorities. And you're going to test that out for hopefully this week, but I think the next week as well, because the thing about starting right away is a lot of times you have obligations, of course, this week that, you know, you didn't expect to watch this video, you didn't expect to do this project. It might not be as fully fleshed out, but if you can block the time in your following week just for the buckets, because you might not necessarily know what you're going to work on, you'll at least have that time for the priorities you know you want to take care of set out. And when someone says, hey, do you want to hang out on Thursday at 1 o'clock? You'll look at Thursday at 1 o'clock and be like, oh no, I have a deep work block. How about Friday? Because that's what I have set up for community. You know, you'll be able to just start planning and shifting to give yourself the time and space to actually experiment with what doing this 168-hour method looks like. You'll also notice where you have big blocks. So like for me, deep work is always a big block. I'm excited for you guys to try this experiment because again, having that identity contract that you set up, having your Build-A-Babe worksheet that you did, seeing the things that you built identity-wise, and then starting to plan your weeks around that and putting the blocks and buckets into your calendar is going to be amazing. If you already currently don't use a calendar, I use Google Calendar. Like, I don't think anyone needs to use a paid one right now. If you do use a paid calendar, please comment below what's so great about it. All right, now here is what I want to leave you with. You have 168 hours this week. Every hour that you give to something is every hour that you're saying this is important enough to protect. I hope that you're watching this and you get to pull out your identity contract from phase 1, that you get to pull out your Build-A-Babe from phase 1. I hope that you pull out those worksheets and you take the time to really ground yourself and remind yourself who you are. You created her boundaries. You know what she stands for and doesn't stand for. You know what she spends her time thinking about and not thinking about. Make it real now. Actually bring her to life and start living as her. I can't tell you how exciting this time is, especially if you are at this phase in the Best Fucking Year series. I'm so excited for you to start living out her life, and I can't wait to hear your updates on how it's been working. If you find that you have more energy, if you find that you've been more productive. I don't know, I just feel like it's so, I have chills, and not because it's cold. I just feel like it's so transformative. What we're doing right now is like taking that identity work. I know it was a lot. I know it like challenged you to think about things and maybe address things that were uncomfortable, but like now you know who you are. And you get to build her. You get to actually be her. You get to live as her. And that's what this week is about. So I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm like really hunched because I'm kind of cold, but the sun is coming out. So let's take a deep breath. Deep breath in. Exhale. You have 168 hours this week. I hope that you make them count. I love you. Subscribe, comment, like. I always forget to say this mid-video, but I hope you do. And yeah, I'll see you next week. I love you. Bye. I think at time of recording this, we're at like 3,700 subscribers, which, oh my gosh, mwah, welcome, I love you down. I don't know if this format works in Canada. It's mid-April, like it should not be this cold. Woo, might have underdressed for this one. We right at the waterfront today, guys. And we're gonna use a message, sorry, I'm cold. Oh my God, I have boogers running down my nose, it's that cold. Brr, in the that you really, sorry. I think I got a gnat in my mouth.